Hi, gang. Doug and Tom here again. We're down in the studio. I got dressed up today. Uh, haven't worn a collared shirt for a long time, but I kind of like the look. This is one of these shirts that has it's a button down, but the button is under the
Yeah,
collar.
yeah.
What do you think? It's a good look. Uh, I think it makes me look more extinguished, as the Three Stooges used to say. Um, Man, has there been a lot of interesting developments in politics, and we're I'm going to make a commitment today to do these future YouTubes. A lot of them with Tom, because there's no really two people more interesting than Tom and me. It's not Tom and I, it's Tom and me.
That's right.
Yeah,
Objective,
okay,
yeah.
grammar.
That's right.
Yeah, objective, is that what
Yeah,
that was?
that's it. When it's the object, it's
Okay.
it's me. You know.
Okay, and subjective would be the
I.
grammar to use the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the way if you take the other person out of
Yeah.
it, then it comes to you. If you didn't say Tom and you just say with me,
You're right.
see,
So that's how you can test it
Yeah,
if you got
right.
it right.
test it in your head.
I love it. Test it in your head. We do a lot of this stuff in our head because we make no bones about the fact that we're of the older generation, although I've got a few years on Tom. He's younger than myself, younger than I am.
Well, yeah, that's younger than me or younger than I am. Yeah,
Okay.
you get into that stuff. Yeah, but
Okay, you went to Catholic
Yeah.
school.
yeah.
Those people still do grammar correctly.
I bet they
think.
do.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, geez, it was years ago, and I just can't imagine. I don't
Yeah.
think they get what we got. And it was
Yes.
disciplined. You know, it was
Yes.
drummed into us whether we wanted
Yeah.
it or not. And so,
Yeah.
languages, you know, for example, and really all
And
the
like-
subjects.
Diagramming sentences. Remember
Oh, yeah.
that? I wonder
Yeah.
if they still do that. I'd like to hear from some of our fans. And, you can reach me somehow. And I'd love to have you come to our studio and do one of these things with us. I can be messaged at 215-808-0145. That's 215-808-0145. And I'd love to have you come to my studio. I'm right outside of Philly in the Bucks County area. And it's one of the best places in the United States, I think. We don't really hide our opinions, but we like others' opinions too. And it occurred to me this morning that what I learned at the dinner table many, many years ago is in polite society, you don't really talk about sex, politics, or religion. Okay?
Right.
And I guess most people think that still kind of makes sense. What do you think about that, Tom?
Well, I always heard politics and religion. Not so much. But no one talked about sex at my dinner table.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
politics, even more so now, it's so polarized, you know.
Yes.
Religion, yeah, that's always been the case. But
Sure.
I think you can talk about religion. You can
Yeah.
talk about all of them with an open mind, it seems like. But things are
absolutely.
so polar.
Yes.
And yeah, it just and politics seems to separate people. I mean, you find out what their
Yeah.
what their
Yeah.
party is, and the next thing you know you've caused a division,
A rift.
Yeah, rift. Yeah,
I think I trace that back to, and this is kind of, I keep all these notes. I write them down as I read books, as I watch Fox News, although I do flip over if there's something real controversial going on. I like to see, well, I wonder how MSNBC's covering this, or CNN.
yeah.
But I'm a Fox News guy because I'm an old Midwestern conservative. And but how did we get to this point? We'll go back to politics. We'll leave sex and religion maybe for another day.
But we're going to discuss them all.
We will
I get it.
When did we get to this point where we were so sharply divided? And of course, my opinion is it's when Donald Trump first came down the escalator.
I was going to say the same thing.
Were you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. In Trump Tower with his wife. I think Melania was with him.
She was. They came down together.
Okay. We agree that that's when it started.
Yeah.
And moving ahead, of course, and we all know the history of where we got to today. Today being August 28th, 2024.
Right.
In the heat of an election season that I've never seen in my lifetime. Tom, you probably haven't either.
I don't think it's ever happened to this extent.
To this extent. But the division, I think we do agree, occurred with Trump. And it's turned into you absolutely love him or you absolutely hate him. Okay? And you can figure out where we are on that, and if I'm wrong, I know Tom will correct me. There doesn't seem to really be middle ground, and I've always wondered about these people, Tom, who say, well, I'm in the middle, I'm a moderate. What the hell's a definition, in your opinion? What is a moderate?
Moderate is similar to an ostrich.
Okay.
With their head in the sand.
I think I've come to that conclusion too. It's when I read a letter to the editor from Anonymous. I just don't think much of it.
Right.
Moderation, I don't know what it is, particularly when it comes to politics.
I guess I'm the same way. Like, how can you be moderate? These things are so polar.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Are you moderate on the abortion issue, which is big? You know, on our foreign wars, the inflation and the economy. How can you be moderate on this stuff?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So.
And as I've always told my children and grandchildren, you know, world peace would be heavenly someday, but it will never be. And you got to stake out a claim. I think you got to have a position on just about everything, rather than saying I'm moderate, I'm right in the middle. So.
Well, maybe they just say that because they don't want to get into discussion.
That can be too.
You know,
they want to go along to get along.
Yeah, right.
And you and I have would definitely be in the the Trump-Vance characterization of weird. I know we've talked about our out of the box thinking and out of the weird. We have thoughts other than those that are commonly held.
Right. And maybe more, I would say myself, more political than the average person, and more conservative, and you seem to be as well. So I just, a lot of people have, maybe they have more going on than us.
Than us.
Getting older, it's like we have time for this kind of thing, where people raising families and such.
Yeah.
Look, I got more to do. I got to get my girl to school today,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When I talk to my kids and my grandkids, they kind of remind me, Dad, there's things other than politics.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to make a living. We got to get the kids to soccer practice.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I do have to be reminded of that. And
but I think in a lot of cases, moderate is just. I just really, I don't even want to think about my position on this.
Yeah. I'm happy to tell you mine. But anyway, no doubt about it. It started when Trump came down the escalator, and you love him or hate him.
Yeah.
That's where we are today. And everything he's gone through, he wanted to drain the swamp. Well, that swamp is omnipresent and everywhere.
Right.
And everybody's in it to some degree. In my opinion, I get a Social Security check. I have medical benefits. To me, that's all tied into that big giant system called the swamp. But another topic for another day is how so many people just hated Trump and didn't want him anywhere near the Oval Office again. And they can't believe he's getting close to it again. I don't know what'll happen. All I know is the polls, for whatever they're worth, suggest it's a pretty doggone tight race. But I got to tell you, I'm way more a cheerleader for Trump because the guy's authentic. Diplomatic a lot of times? No. Myself, diplomacy is on the list for leaders, but it's down the list. And there's other things ahead of it. Any
there
what
has
do you
never
think?
been a politician that can sit with someone in a podcast for 2 hours
Yes.
and talk extemporaneously.
Yes.
It's never happened, and nobody's willing to do it. And to your point, that he's authentic.
Yes.
And this stuff is just right there.
And I think in our society, in all societies, we know, well, polite society is this. I mean, we're brought up from children that's a certain way, which will be another topic for another day. But I am very put off by a candidate for president, Kamala Harris, who will not talk to the press, will not take an interview. People that run away from issues, boy, does that turn me off right away. And I don't know what's going to happen.
I just saw I just read that Don Lemon making his way out to the
Was he
DNC.
the CNN guy?
CNN guy.
Yeah, okay.
And he, you're hearing more. I think that wall, that mainstream media wall that protects Kamala is falling. And
Okay.
it's it. New York Times just put out some things that expose her. Uh,
Yes.
he said he said going across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and on up into Illinois for that for the DNC convention. He was talking to people. He said there are people in Ohio who don't know who she is.
Yeah.
He says
Mm-hmm.
he says perhaps she should reintroduce herself.
Okay.
Well, that just tells me it's like, what do the Democrats as a whole have planned for November? Because
Yeah.
they're hiding her like they hid
Yes.
Biden in his basement.
And I think that turns most of the people off in this country. I really do. Unless you really, really, really hate Trump, and that's your motivation, just
Right.
to not have Trump.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I think that's what a lot of her people would be doing. It's just,
Yeah.
how can you be, what do you know about her that you like?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
she's not Trump.
Yes. So maybe we'll see the issues spelled out in black and white. But today's the 28th. We're coming up on Labor Day. And I remember back in the old days, they said electioneering really starts after Labor Day.
Yeah, right. That's right.
That's not
Summer
true
vacation's
anymore.
over. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it probably will heat up after.
I can't believe it could heat up
If it
anymore.
can anymore.
Yeah.
But I want to say here
Yeah,
on my
go
mind
ahead.
that
Yeah.
this, I as a Trumpster, I'm really excited about RFK Jr. and now Tulsi Gabbard. These people are jumping ship. It's like a Kennedy that's not a Democrat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They're almost synonymous, So, and it makes me think that we're almost losing the Republican and Democrat names. I have two new party names.
Oh, good, good.
So the new party names, you're either MAGA
Okay.
or you're Uniparty. And the
Okay.
Uniparty is the deep state and the swamp.
Swamp.
It's rhinos and Democrats
Yes.
that are all the same. It doesn't matter. And
Yep.
yet Trump is, I think, purposely moving away from that. And now with Robert Jr.
Yes.
and Tulsi joining him, and Robert teased that there are more coming. So
Well, that it's going to be interesting.
yeah,
There's no doubt about it. When I first heard Robert Kennedy Jr. speak, maybe a year ago, on his policy positions, I thought he sounds a bit like the libertarian in me.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because, as I've told you before, I am almost a full circle around that Venn diagram. Is that what
yeah.
Kamala calls him? Of where conservatism gets up to libertarian, but absolutely never to purely autocratic fascism,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a load of crap too.
Yeah,
And anyway, and he is a lot of libertarian, in my opinion. I just think Tulsi is a delight. She's nice to look at
for
with
sure.
my shallow male,
Yeah,
but
right.
oh, she speaks so beautifully, and she makes just about hits all of my bullet points as to how big government should be.
Right.
And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and any of my friends out there, she thinks the Department of, I don't want to say it was her, but there's questions about some of the big federal agencies that I think our country jumped the gun to set up, like the Department of Education.
Right. Good point.
And maybe it was Tulsi or Robert F. or Kennedy Jr. or somebody. But good grief. For crying out loud, education is local. It's always local. It's always been local. And to have a federal department of it, I think is a huge waste of money. I have no idea what it costs. I've kind of heard those complaints about the Department of Energy too. I don't know enough about them to comment.
I think you're right. Almost you have to go down the list and say which ones you're getting rid of.
Yeah.
Now, what was it? I remember Trump probably long ago, not recently, but he talked about get rid of the FBI. Get rid of them, interview the people. Yeah. We have a place for some of you in the United States Marshal Service.
Yes.
But otherwise, you've outlived your usefulness. You probably did in 1960.
And boy, hasn't that been front and center?
Yeah.
With the Secret Service and the assassination attempt. Yeah. Whoa, who's in charge? Wait, it's him. No, it's...
Yeah. Now they're talking about maybe making RFK Jr. the head of the Secret Service. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool. Yeah. But we've got to elect Trump to see...
Yeah.
How does that phrase go? What's in the Trump book?
Pelosi's
Pelosi.
There. Yeah. We have to vote for it to see what's in it.
That's got to be one of the all-time great comments. And boy, do we not want to get started on Pelosi. Anyway, I had, so I got through one of, I only had kind of one more note here that I found today for this YouTube broadcast that I saw talking about education. It was on Fox News this morning, and it showed a bunch of high school students driving into the high school parking lot. And in Oklahoma, they all drive pickup trucks, okay?
Right. Yeah.
That is the hardcore Trump state,
right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I guess you're right, yeah.
And they all like to fly giant flags on their...
Right.
I've seen a couple of those here in Pennsylvania, but nothing like this. And the story was about how, I guess, the principal, it's local, folks. It's got to start local. That he thought that could be a problem. I think they were American flags. I could be wrong. I don't know that there were any Trump flags, but I don't even know that that matters to me. And I saw this huge parade of the pickup trucks. Primarily, I think, American flags. But anyway, the story was the principal was upset. And by God, he's the boss of the school. And he should be the first line of enforcement, compliance, etc. As to whether this represented, and they like to couch it in safety, okay?
Oh, of course.
Right?
Right.
That's a direct playbook out of the swamp and enforcement.
Right.
And so they grabbed that first. It got me to thinking, those, maybe that's not so wrong, okay? Because I noticed when I was watching it on TV, these were big flags and lots of kids driving, and it really was obstructing and blocking the normal flow and what you normally see in traffic. I think we all drive, this is a subject for another day, with a pattern that we recognize when we're driving. you know how a motorcycle all of a sudden, whoa, wasn't sure that guy was there. I think too deeply about this stuff, but maybe that had something to do with it. But anyway, that was the story. I don't know how it'll be resolved.
Well,
And freedom is, yeah, go ahead. Good.
The big American flag,
Yes.
to the size of it, first of all, when you're slowed down in an intersection or something, it's straight up and
Correct.
down. Okay, so
Yes.
and I'm thinking, even if you had if you had an American flag decal on your doors,
Yes.
and no flag, they would still object, because today an American flag is a Trump flag.
Ah.
You don't see the left
Okay.
putting a flag up.
Oh my God, that is very sad.
It is.
That is
It is.
very sad. And anyway, I don't know what'll happen, but there'll be something else that I'll read about or see later today. And so will you when you go home, and if you turn on your, we still call it a radio in your car?
Yeah.
A radio?
It's interesting. Well, in my case, it's connected to a Bluetooth player that's
Okay,
playing
that's what
the songs on my
Yeah.
phone, because
Yeah.
I get my information. I read on the internet, and I've given up the TV and the radio
Yeah.
as a source of information, because
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
it takes too long for them to say it for any other reason.
I think that might be it for today. We're still playing around with our wonderful YouTube show. And maybe we'll get a few more views. And I just want to appeal to the public. I'm at 215-808-0145. I've got a voicemail there for Doug's Interesting People. And you see it right behind me, which is my Spotify audio broadcast. But we're going to be doing some more YouTube stuff. And as you can see, we're opinionated, but I like to hear the other opinions too. And I guess in closing, I'm going to say this. Our history would be not so great if it wasn't for progressive movements. And I'm not a guy who totally shuts down progressive movements. So I'm glad that my wife can go and vote. I'm glad that a black man can be the CEO of Coca-Cola. But we have to temper progressive movements as to which ones, in my opinion, make sense and will stand the test of time. And we could get going on that, but we're on the clock
sure
today. So we'll be back for some of that. I'm reading some Audible books, listening to some books now that I want to bring into the conversation too. So anyway, folks, I've got a little remote controller here that I still am not sure how it turns this off, but we're going to try and turn it off and see if the remote controller works. And if not, what am I doing wrong? Tom will just reach up and turn it off.